Okay, so welcome to customizing your home screen on your iPhone or iPad so that you can A, find the apps you want, and B, have them where you want them, and C, get rid of the ones you don't want anymore. And I'm Marcy, and I'm passing it over to Diana for a while.
Okay, to get started, um, most of you probably know that your phone has a number of icons, and I think you can have up to 24 of them, and they're arranged in columns and rows. And that is helpful when you get to the point where we're going to move things around. When you're just flicking right and left, you don't necessarily get the sense that your icons are in columns and rows. And really what you're doing when you flick to the right is you move across the screen starting at the top left corner underneath your status bar, and then you flick right, and when you get to the fourth column, you wrap to the next second column on the second row of the first column on the next screen. So as you keep moving to the right, you flick through all your items. On the bottom, there is 4 items in your what's called the dock. And that dock is, most people put the items that you use most commonly in there. I don't remember what the default is, but I suspect there is a default when you get a phone. But you can actually move things out of the dock and into the dock. Did somebody want to say?
It's phone, email, messages, and I don't know. I have my banking app, but was that always there? Maybe
I
that's
doubt it.
that I've changed. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I have music, phone, Safari, and music, mail, Safari, and phone. And
Yeah.
those are the four things that have been on my dock forever.
And I have phone, messages, Outlook, and settings because those are 4 that I happen to use. So, and you can move things in and out of there. So basically, we can, each page, your home screen is page 1, and underneath, or above the dock, we'll say, and underneath the last column of your apps is a scroll bar. And if you flick up, you can move to another page on your phone. And if you flick down, you often get into the app library, which I don't like, but that's sometimes what happens there. And if you have too many items on one page, they will scroll on and end up on the second page. So if you lose one, that's probably where it's gone, onto your second page, if you get too many items on one page. And today what Marcy's going to show you is not only how to move your items around, but also how to put them in folders. For example, on my phone, I have, at the top, I have my clock, and I have Google, and I have Safari, and I have an Ember app, which means I have a heated coffee cup. I'm quite decadent, and it's connected to my phone. And I have Find My iPhone and Dropbox and Be My Eyes and MetaView and Passwords. And I'm going quite quickly. Those are all the files, or not files, the apps that I have on my home page. Now I'm starting to get into folders. And the reason I'm just going to talk about this for about 2 minutes is everybody has different things and types of folders that they want to have. And my folders are my health folder, which has 16 apps in it. And it tells me that when I sit on the folder. And I have my photos and camera. Most people, if they take pictures a lot, wouldn't put their camera into a folder. But because I don't use it a lot, I could, but I don't. I have chosen to put it in a folder. I have a shopping and restaurants folder, a finance folder that has all my bank apps, a writing folder, and I've put my Microsoft tools in there, my notes app, and any other things I would want to use to write with. I have a reading folder, and that's where I've got Audible and VoiceStream and all of the apps that I use to read. I have a weather folder, entertainment folder, and in there I've got things like Netflix and Disney Plus when the grandkids come and all of that stuff. But I have a separate radio folder, and it's entertainment too, so I could have put those two together. And it has things like CBC Listen and Folk Alley and any of the radio stations I listen to. And the last one on this page is my social, I call it social networking. I think it actually named it that. I could have changed it, I didn't. And it has Messenger, Facebook, FaceTime, Zoom, and Teams, and Classroom when we were helping our grandson with his schoolwork, and all the things that have to do with connecting with other people. So the only reason I wanted to show you that is because when you see Marcy's, she's going to have totally different folders, organized differently, and that's what I want you to take away from this session, is that your organization is your own, not ours. You put things where you want them, where they're logical for you, not where they're logical for us. So having said that, I will pass it on to Marcy to do the training.
Hey, so this little presentation, I am going to try not to go too fast. So rather than knowing whether I am or not, can someone please holler if I am? So every time you touch an app, there are things you can do without even going into the app. And one of these things is to start the editing process. So I have a bunch of apps that I want to move around, which is going to be very helpful to show how to do this, because I can actually get something done. So, all right. So first of all, is that loud enough? It
Yep.
said Kojiko folder, two apps. That's actually
Folder,
Kojeko
that
or
one.
whatever.
It may be loud enough, Marcia, but it's probably too fast for most of us.
Well, it's just going to be one, like it's just the apps. That's just a folder, and that's why it's got more than
Okay.
that. But
Okay.
it should be enough to be.
Can we hear it
like
again?
Yeah, I'll play something else.
Settings.
I need,
Ready?
I'd rather
That
have
was-
it louder.
Well, I think this is as loud as it's going to get.
Why don't you just repeat
Settings.
Okay,
them
all
after?
right, I'll repeat them. So that was settings, which I don't want to move. I don't want to touch settings. So we're going to go find the first one that I want to move, and then I'm going to walk you through how this works when it does.
Feedback. Meta view.
So feedback, meta view,
Perplexity.
perplexity,
Smart things.
smart things,
Nest.
Nest. I want to move Nest because that's my thermostat, and I want to be able to find that quickly. And where it is now is a nuisance, and it just keeps moving for some reason. So so what you do to start the editing process, and when I say editing, it means you can move things or you can delete things. So it's really powerful. So what you do is you flick down,
Edit mode.
and it says edit mode. Ooh, okay. That's what we want. So I'm going to double tap on that,
Started editing.
and it said started editing. So now the way this works is you have to first of all tell the system what you want to do So I want to drag or move this app.
Eco folder is editing. 2 apps.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't,
Perplexity is
and
editing.
it just moved
Actions
me
available.
off of
Smart
my
things.
nest.
Nest is editing.
Okay,
Actions
so
available.
I'm back to my nest, and I want to start a drag because I want to drag it somewhere
editing.
else, and it just undid itself.
Edit mode.
Okay, so
Start
this
editing.
may have a timer, so we'll just be very
Stop editing apps.
careful.
Delete.
Okay.
Drag nest.
All right, so I want to drag nest. So I double
Store.
tap
Editing.
on drag nest, and then I
Move
want to
folder. Social folder.
move
Medical folder. Smart things.
nest
Perplexity. Meta view. Feedback. Settings is editing. Eco folder is editing.
to...
Batteries is editing. Widget. Drops available. Eco folder is editing. 2 apps.
Okay,
Drops
so
available.
that's my Kojiko internet folder, and I am going to drop nest before that, meaning to the left of
Stop
it.
editing apps. Drop nest before Eco folder. Drop
And
ready.
it says drop nest before Kojiko folder. That's what we want to do. So now, if everything has worked properly, when I flick left, I should have nest right there.
Nest is editing.
And
folder
we
is
have
editing. 2 apps.
Kojiko folder. Okay, so now let's
Nest is
move
editing.
something
Settings
else.
is editing. Feedback is editing.
We'll go through
Actions
the
available.
same
Meta view is editing.
process.
Perplexity is editing. Actions. Smart things is editing. Actions available.
Well, Smart Things isn't working anymore. So let's just get rid of it. Let's move it somewhere else.
Finished editing. Edit mode.
Oh, let's start editing again. Okay, so I
Started editing.
flicked down again, and now I'm going to
Drag smart things.
drag Smart Things. Let me just give you an idea of what else there is there.
Activate. Default.
Activate,
Stop editing apps.
stop editing, delete,
Drag smart things.
drag Smart Things. We want to drag.
App store is editing. Book folder
And
is editing. 8 apps.
okay,
Drops available.
so
Mail
hopefully
is
it
editing.
moved
November.
it.
Safari is edited. Phone is
And
editing.
I
Page
know
1 of 7.
that
Adjustable.
even though it says I have 7
Page 2 of 7.
pages,
Page 3 of 7.
I
Page 4
know
of 7.
that I
Page 5
really
of 7.
only have 6, but it moves things
Page 6
sort
of
of
7.
ahead a bit, so that it can give me more room to move things. But I am going to try page 6.
Empty icon is editing. Rows. Empty icon is editing.
Oh,
Empty
yay,
icon.
and
Empty
we've
icon.
got a
Empty
whole
icon.
bunch of empty icons.
Empty
That's
icon.
neat.
Empty icon is edited. Barnacle companion is editing. Barnacle notes
Okay,
is
so
edited.
we're
Rose
going to
line is
go
editing.
to the
Barnacle
last
tic-tac-toe is
one,
editing. Empty
and it
icon
doesn't
is editing.
matter
Row
what
3,
these
column 9.
are.
Drop available.
Okay, so I'm on an empty icon. I'm going to try and drop
Smart things at
it
row 3, column 1. Drop ready.
before. Oh, okay, I can put it right there. It says drop it right there. Let's drop
Drop
it
complete.
right there.
Smart. Barnacle tic-tac-toe. Smart things is editing.
Okay,
Actions
so
available.
it's now in the empty icon after the last thing I have, which is Barnacle tic-tac-toe, which doesn't mean anything to anybody else. So I'm going to stop editing for a minute, which is just
Education folder.
you hit your home button. So, or your home, you flick up from the bottom, the way you do home. That will stop editing, or you can flick down on an app and find, remember, one of those choices was stop editing. I'm going to stop there and ask if there's any questions so far.
I just have a comment, Marcy,
Yeah,
that
sure.
in case somebody's really worried that they'll end up deleting something they don't mean to, it always verifies
Yes, I was
verbally
going to show
whether
that.
he's going. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We
Sorry.
haven't done deleting yet.
I'm afraid I didn't catch how once you select an app, how you move it.
So you flick down.
Yeah,
First of all, you have to start editing.
yeah,
So the first thing that you would double tap on is start editing.
yeah,
And then if that's the app that you want to move, you would flick down until you hear drag
yes,
the app. And you double tap on that. And then you move to where you want it. And then you have choices, because I ended up with a blank square. So there was no drop after drop. Well, there was probably a drop before the blank square, which would have been silly.
Marisol Pastada
But-
joined the meeting.
Oh, hi, Marisol. Hang on a minute. We're just in the midst of this, and then we'll start the next thing. So what you do is you find the place where you want it. So say you dragged an app and you want to put it before, I don't know, settings. And so you would touch settings and flick down until you heard either drop before settings or drop after settings, or there's create a folder with settings and the app that you're dragging, and you would choose whichever one you wanted to do, and you would double tap on that.
So it's up and down, not so much left and right.
The only time you go left and right is to figure out, first of all, which app you want to play with, and then where do you want it to go.
Okay, thanks.
So that, yeah, not a problem. Marisol, we just went through editing apps. I'm going to show how to delete one because I'm sure there's one I'd like to delete. So let me just find one. That one. Whatever the heck it is. Shop. I don't remember what it is. I don't really care. So I'm going to show you what happens when you want to delete one.
Edit mode.
So we need to start editing.
Start editing.
Which we just flick down to start editing, or edit mode. Sorry, edit mode is the one you want to start it. And now I'm going to flick down to delete app.
Stop editing apps. Delete.
Delete. Okay, double tap on that.
Remove shop. Remove shop.
So the first thing it's asking me is remove shop.
Removing from home screen will keep the app in your app library.
Removing from the home screen will keep it in the app library, which means if you don't want to remove it altogether, you can put it in that app library that you can find after the last page of your home screen apps. And it'll still be there if you ever want to use it. But it just won't be in your way.
Finish editing.
And it just... Okay,
That's where it went.
so just a warning, it does have a timeout. So let me, okay.
Delete app button.
All right, well, that's interesting. It told me it's finished editing, but I still have the dialog box open. So we'll see whether I can still do this.
Remove from home
So
screen button.
you have two buttons. You have remove from home screen, which doesn't delete it. It just moves it out of the way.
Delete app.
Or you have delete app. So I want to delete this thing. So I'm going to hit delete.
Delete shop. Delete shop.
Okay, delete shop. This is another dialog, so you're going to flick
Deleting this app
to
will
the
also
right.
erase data, but any documents located stored in iCloud will not be deleted.
So deleting the app will also remove its data, but if you have anything stored in iCloud, it won't be deleted. So if the app created documents and you stored them outside of it in iCloud, they'll still stay. But everything else is going to be gone.
Cancel button.
And you can cancel there,
Delete
or
button.
you can delete the thing. And I am going to delete it.
Education folder. 2 apps.
Okay, so that app is now gone.
Porter Airlines. App. Beta. Bonocle Companion.
Yeah, it was between AF, which is AVTD beta, and my Bonocle stuff. So it's gone. It's history. Now, I need to rename a folder because silly Apple, I put 2 password apps together and it called them educational, which makes,
Smart thing.
and I'm
Bonocle
pretty
tic-tac-toe.
sure
Run.
that that's
Bonocle
what's
notes.
in there. So I'm
Bonocle
just going to
Companion.
double
Porter
check
Airlines.
first.
Education folder. 2 apps.
So I'm going to open this folder by double tapping it.
Education. Heading. Witness blanket.
Oh, no, it's not. It's the CHRC stuff, the museum
CNPR.
stuff. Okay, so
Witness
this
blanket.
is,
Heading. Education.
glad
Heading.
I looked at
Mirko
that.
Pistada has left the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Those run. Bonocle notes.
All right.
Bonocle Companion.
So we're going to
Folder.
rename that
folder.
education folder because I'm just going to call it
Education. Heading.
Human
Returns
Rights
available.
Museum.
Education.
Okay.
Witness blanket.
And I need to start editing. So I
Start
did
editing.
editing on one of the apps. And then I can flick
Clear
to
text
the
button.
left and hit clear
Click folder
text.
name. Text field is editing. Insertion
And
point
now
is
I'm
space.
just going to call it
Space.
C
C. U. H.
H
R.
R.
B. V. C.
CHRM. Why not? Canadian Human Rights Museum. And now we'll just stop editing by hitting home. And that's better. It's now CHRM, which makes more sense to me than education folder did. Okay. Let's go.
CHRM folder to Porter Airlines.
Let's find. Okay, let's move. We're going to move something into a folder because I have a travel folder which has a whole cartload of stuff, some of which can be deleted most likely, but Porter Airlines would belong there. It's also a horrible app, so I don't know if I'll ever use it, but I know I tried to, but it wasn't a great app. But here we go. We're going to move it. So,
Edit mode.
edit mode. So I flicked down to edit
Start
mode,
editing.
started editing, and now I'm going to flick down to drag.
Stop editing apps. Delete. Drag Porter Airlines.
Okay, drag Porter Airlines.
App is editing. Beta.
Okay, and now we're going to go down to the bottom and find my page flipper. And I'm going to go back to
Page 3 of 7.
3 because I think that's where my travel folder is.
Travel folder is editing.
And
27
there
apps.
it is. Okay. So we're going to hope that there is a add Porter Airlines to travel folder.
Stop editing apps.
So we have stop editing apps.
Drop Porter Airlines before travel folder.
Drop
edit.
it before.
Activate default. Edit mode.
And it just and it just stopped editing for me. I took too long.
Marcy,
Yeah.
Mail is editing.
just so everybody knows, it's a 1-minute timer. I just timed it.
Oh,
Doc mail. Is
where
editing.
did you
For
find
everything.
that?
Actions available.
I just looked at the time when I started the edit mode, and like I waited till it changed to the minute. And yeah, so
Okay.
it's a minute.
Page 6 of 7. Those run. Is editing.
Okay.
CHR done. Edit.
All right.
CHR is editing.
Well, what's
Beta.
really interesting is the
Drops available.
Porter is no longer where it was, I don't think.
Monocle companion is
So
editing.
it may have
Drops available.
moved. It may have
Doc,
moved
Safari,
to
info, page 6 of 7,
before
adjustable,
the
page 5 of 7,
travel
page 4 of 7,
folder because that's where I
Page 3 of 7.
landed before it stopped
Page 2 of 7.
doing
Productivity
silly
folder. Page 2 of
things.
7. Adjustable. Page 3 of 7. Page 3 of 7. Google is editing. Page 3 of 7. Adjustable.
Okay, so then it moved. Let's go
Page 4
here.
of 7.
4
Test
of.
flight is editing. Done. Button. Edit. But done. Test flight is editing.
All right, so
ECG
we're
is editing.
still
Page 4 of 7.
editing, but God knows where Porter ended up. That's interesting. It seems to have.
Safari is editing.
This
Phone.
is what
Page 4 of 7.
happens
Adjust page 3 of
sometimes.
7.
Is
Page
that
2
you
of 7.
never know what's going to
Productivity
happen.
folder is editing. Show pass is editing. Productivity. Page 2 of 7.
Alright,
Adjustable.
let's
Page 3 of 7.
go and see
Page 3 of
if
7.
I can
External
find
is
it.
editing. Sonos, Spotify, TV, YouTube, Google, travel. Page 3 of 7. Adjustable.
Yeah, it seems to have disappeared. So I'm going to stop editing, and then I'm going to figure out where in the world it is.
Page 3 of 6. Adjustable.
Could it have gone into the travel folder?
27 apps.
Let's go look. I doubt
Page 1 of
it,
4.
but
Adjustable.
anything's
I do
Page 1 of 4.
possible.
Adjustable. Page 1 of 4. Explore. E-decoration. Hopper.
Okay,
E-decorate.
well,
Explore.
if
Page
it
1 of 4. Mirror
did,
Explore online.
okay, so
It'll be
I'm
on
in
the
my
left.
yeah.
Square.
So I'm in my travel folder,
E-decorate.
which
Explore.
has
Page 1 of-
a
page 1 of 4.
ton of
Adjustable.
stuff
Page 2
in
of 4.
it,
Page
and
3
we're
of 4.
going to go to the
Page 4
fourth
of 4.
page,
Access now. Travel.
and
Heading.
it is
Travel.
not
Heading.
there.
Access now. Page 4 of 4.
So
Adjustable.
we will go out of there,
Page 4 of 4.
and we will go back
Safari.
to page
Phone. Page 3
6
of 6. Adjustable. Page 4 of 6. Page 5 of
because
6.
that's where it
Page 6 of
was,
6. Smart things. Monocle tick. Bose run. Monocle note. Monocle Porter Airlines.
and it's still there.
Still
Okay.
there.
Edit mode.
All right,
Activate.
so
Default.
we're going to try editing again, and we are going to drag,
Is edited. Doc. Mail.
and then
Safari.
we were
Phone.
going
Is
to
editing.
go
Page 6 of
to
7. Page 5 of 6. Page 4 of 6. Page 3
page
of 7.
3,
Travel folder. Is
and
edited.
then
Stop
we
editing
are,
apps.
okay, so I'm at the
Drop Porter Airlines
travel
before travel
for,
folder. Drop
okay, I'm listening
Activate.
for,
Default.
oh,
Edit. Cancel. Drag. Edit mode. Activate. Default.
well, you know what, they've broke, okay, so you know what I'm going to do,
Page 3 of 7. Double tap to open.
see, because they
Page 2 of
seem to have,
Authenticator. Is edited.
they seem to have
Show apps.
taken
Is
away
edited.
the
Doc. Mail.
add to
Safari. Phone.
folder,
Is editing. Page 2 of 7.
so
Adjustable.
the only thing
Page
I
3 of-
can do
Page 3 of 7.
is,
Adjustable. Google is editing. Page 3 of 7. Adjustable. Page
my
3 of 7.
travel
Adjustable.
folder has now disappeared too. That's interesting.
Page 4 of 7.
Yeah.
Test flight is editing.
Alrighty then. Let's done this again.
Test
So
flight.
this is
Doc, mail,
this
notes
is a
of summary,
very
page 4 of 6,
finicky. It's a very finicky process, and every once in a while it's broken. So obviously they have broken the add to folder because that used to be there. So
Yes.
what we will do
Page 6 of
is
6.
we will go
Honorable notes.
grab Porter again,
Porter Airline. CHRM. Porter Airline. Edit mode.
edit.
Start editing. Stop
We
editing apps.
will
Delete. Drag Porter Airlines.
drag Porter,
Is editing. Beta.
and
Page
we
6 of
will
7.
go
Adjustable.
to
Page 5 of page
page
4 of 7.
where was it?
Page 3 of
Page
7.
3.
Travel folder. Is
And
editing.
we will
27 apps.
open the
Page
travel
2 of 5.
folder,
Adjustable. Page 2 of 5. Uber Eats. Is editing.
and then we will
Actions available.
just
Drop available.
pick one
Stop editing apps.
place
Close folder. Add to drag
and
session. Drop Porter Airlines before
drop.
Uber Eats. Drop
There we go. So we're going to drop Porter Airlines in the folder, but I had to go in there and
Yep.
pick another app that I want to drop it.
Porter Airlines.
So
Is
now
editing.
Porter is
Actions available.
before
Uber Eats. Is
Uber
editing.
Eats.
Actions available.
And that folder I need to reorganize, and I'm not doing it now. So, because it's a mess. It's got 28 apps in there right now, and half of them I don't use anymore. So I need to go through them. It's got all my navigation apps. It's got all my airline
Finish
apps.
editing.
Thank you. And it's finished editing. So, that's the thing, is that if you try one way and it doesn't work, try something different. Don't give up. Just think about it and figure out another way. So it wouldn't let me add the Porter Airlines to the travel folder from the outside. So I just went inside the folder. I double tapped on it while it was still in edit mode and picked one of the apps in the folder, and then I was able to drop my dragged Porter before that app. Now you can drag more than one app at a time, but it's the same process. So what you would do is you pick up app number 1, drag it, and then you go to app number 2. So say you've got 2 airlines or two things that you want to move, and you want to move them to the same place, whether it's in a folder or outside of a folder. You can drag more than one at a time. There is an add to drag session option when you're flicking up and down. So you would just add the second or third or fourth app to that drag session. So you could probably multiply. I haven't tried this, but you could probably delete multiple apps if you wanted. No, you couldn't. Sorry. You could only drag multiple apps. So they're being really careful. They want to make sure that if you want to delete something, you really want to delete it. But that's basically. Oh yeah, we were going to create a folder. So let me
Right.
just think about this so that I don't. Let me.
Travel folk music notebook. Folk alley.
Well, see, I have a collection of stuff on this page. That's all my media apps. So TV is here, folk music notebook, folk alley, Netflix, anything that streams media is on this page. So why don't we create a folder with these in them, and I will then later add the rest of them. I won't add 20 of them right now because there are probably about, I don't know how many. So we're gonna pick.
Ferret.
Oh yeah, Ferret is a recording app. I'm not sure why I ended up putting that there, but
Folk Alley.
we'll do Folk Alley and Folk Music Notebook. So
Edit mode.
we're gonna edit mode,
Started editing.
and then we're going to drag
editing apps.
Folk
Delete.
Alley.
Drag folk alley. Crave is editing.
Oh, and we landed for
CTV,
some
Crave,
reason
editing.
on
Drops
Crave.
available. Actions
So
available.
why don't we just use Crave and Folk Alley?
Stop editing apps.
So I'm looking
Add to drag
for create folder.
Drop Fogali before Crave. Drop Fogali after Crave. Drop create new folder with Crave and Fogali. Drop ready.
Create new folder with Crave and Folk Alley. That's what I want. So I double tap. Oh, and it called it music. What a brilliant thing. Hey, that makes sense. Not really. It should be media.
No.
So
CTV is editing. Music folder is editing. 2 apps.
So I want to change that. So I'm going to double tap the folder.
Folder name, music, text field. Actions
And
available.
then I'm going to double tap the edit field.
Folder name, text field is editing. Music, insertion.
And
delete.
then I'm going to delete
Delete C.
C
Delete S. Delete U.
CISU. And I'm going to type in
E.
E
F. G. F. D.
D
Fogali is I.
I
A.
A because media makes more sense to me. And then we're just going to make
Fogali
sure
is editing.
that
Crave is
works.
editing. Clear text. Button. Folder name. Text field is editing. Media. Word mode. Insertion point
Yeah,
edit.
media. That's what we want. So we're going to stop
Finish editing.
editing. And we are
Can
in
I
that
ask you a
folder
question?
now. Yes.
When you are in the edit mode,
Yes.
how do you pinpoint the keyboard?
Okay. So the keyboard you only need if you want to edit a folder name. That's the
Right.
only thing you can edit. So what I did was I double tapped on Apple had called it music. So when I created my new folder with the 2 apps, Crave and Folk Alley, it decided to call it music, and I didn't like that. So I double tapped on the name of the folder, and then I found the name of the folder when I was inside it, and double tapped on it, and it opened it up for editing. And as soon as you open it up for editing, if you don't have a Bluetooth keyboard or a Braille display or a Hable One or any of that connected, then the keyboard automatically shows up on your screen. And then we talked about this, I think it was in the chat or somewhere else, about the fact that there are 4 different ways to type on an iOS keyboard. And the way that I use is I find the letter, I move my finger, but not slide it. I move my finger to where I think the letter is that I want, and I get pretty close, and then I flick to the letter I want, and then I double tap that letter. The other ways of doing things are you can slide your finger along the keyboard. And I've never been able to make that one work for me.
No.
And then you pick your finger up when you get there. And then there's direct touch, which means that whatever you touch is what you type. So and you just touch it and it types it. So you have to be really good at figuring out the angles as to where the keys should be. And that one works best with predictive text on, and I don't like that. So
No, I know.
but I do know people who use that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, but the keyboard does it tend to appear in a particular part of the screen?
Yes, it's always at the bottom.
Okay.
The space bar is right above the end of the bottom edge of the screen.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
And
Sorry.
I was just going to say, if you want to get out of edit, then you hit the done button.
You can do that, or you can hit the home. You can flip up
okay.
like to get back to home.
Yeah.
And that will just get you out of edit mode, and it'll leave you exactly where you are. The done button will probably do the same thing. Yeah.
The other option, for editing, for typing, is you can use, if you're used to using it, Braille screen input. You can,
Yes.
if that's in your rotor, or you can now with the new iOS 18, you can put a finger at the top and bottom of each side of the screen and activate it, or make it activate when you've edited. But that's a whole topic. But if you already use it, that's another option for being able to rename a folder, is go into Braille screen input.
Yeah. but you're still going to the same edit field.
Oh, exactly.
It's just the way, it's just however you edit anywhere else. That's how you would type there.
Yeah. I use my Braille display on that, and that works really easily.
Yeah, like I said, Braille display, keyboard Able 1, Braille screen input. Sorry, I completely forgot. Or handwriting.
Yeah, I guess you could.
Yeah, handwriting too. Yeah, I've never managed to play with. I've never bothered to play with that, but it's another way of editing. Whatever works. All right. I'm trying to think what else have we have. Okay, so we've created a folder. We have moved apps around. We've deleted an app.
Do you have 2 items? You talked about it, but maybe demonstrate that you could drag into either another folder or around
a multiple drag session?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
We can do that really easily because there are a bunch of my items on this screen that I want to put into that media folder. So,
Drive.
All right. So,
ACB link. AMI. ACB link.
All right, so we will just start at A and work our way down because these apps I've put them in alphabetical order so that I could find them easier. So that
edit mode.
All right, so edit mode. I just flipped down on ACB. That's the first one we're gonna. So we're gonna start a drag session.
Drag ACB link.
Drag ACB link. Okay.
AMI is editing.
And we're gonna add AMI to this drag session. Whoops.
Add to drag session.
Add to drag session. So that's what we're doing. And it even tells you you're dragging 2 now.
BBC sound. AMI is editing.
Okay.
BBC sounds is editing.
BBC sounds. Let's add that.
Drag session. Dragging 3 items. CBC gem is editing.
CBC
gem.
gem. Add to drag session.
4 items. CBC listen is
All
editing.
right, and we'll do CBC listen.
Add to drag session.
And then we're gonna go and put these.
Clubhouse is media folder. CTV
Media folder. And since we know that it's not going to work the other way, we are going to drop these before Crave.
Stop editing apps. Close folder. Add to drag session. Drop ACB link. AMI. CBC listen. CBC gem. BBC sounds before Crave. Drop ready. Drop complete.
So I just dropped those 4 things, or 5, however many there were, into my media folder. I double tapped to get into the media folder and I dropped them before Crave, which is exactly where I wanted them.
CBC listen is editing.
So they are now,
CBC gem is editing.
and it's saying is editing after each one of these because we're still in edit. It hasn't kicked me out yet.
BBC sounds is editing. AMI is editing. Finished ACB link.
Oh, there we go. So it's now finished editing. So now we have a media folder, which says heading. So you know it's the folder name. And it now has ACB, AMI, and all the rest of them that I put in here. And now I'm going to go out of it. I'm going to hit my home. I'm going to flick up. There we go.
Media folder, 7 apps.
And I'm now out of my folder, and it now has 7 apps. Wow, this is going to really clean up this page. That's excellent. Once I do them all, I should be able to move page 5 onto page 4 and get down to 5 pages again, maybe, hopefully. Right, we've done deleting, we've done multiple drags, we've created a folder.
Screen recognition. On edit button.
I think that's everything. But
once you've made a folder, just to reiterate, because it may not have been obvious, if you want to go into that folder, just like you open an app, you double tap on the folder name, and then you're inside it, and you can flick left or right, well, probably right, because you're at the top of it, and see all the apps you put in that folder. That's how you get into it.
My
And then I press home to get out, or flick
Yes.
up home to get out of it again.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did
Yeah.
to get out of it. Was to and you'll hear if you have your voiceover haptic sounds on, you will hear a little whir.
Yeah.
That means that you're going back to the home screen.
reminders, 2 tasks due today.
Okay, I'm hearing
I'm
hearing someone's phone.
Mm-hmm.
You are hearing my phone because I'm trying to
Okay.
see if I can apply some of what you said, but I have a couple of questions when you're finished.
Okay. No, I'm finished now. I think I've gone through everything. I'm prepared definitely to take questions on all of it.
So my
you're
questions are
first.
very basic, probably.
That's okay. That's where we are.
So I have the bad habit, I guess Diane might say, of flicking left and right, which I find it practical for what I need to do. But I heard you say earlier today that that icons are arranged in rows and columns. The reason I don't sort of stick to that is because I find that my screen is volatile.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I don't know if I cause the volatility by not managing it properly or whether actually it's part of that's how it's designed. And my question is, one question is about the volatility. The other question is, ideally, would the screen contain a defined number of apps or icons arranged in a defined number of columns and
Yes. Okay. So volatility, it really isn't. What happens though is if you focus voiceover on something, so anything, then then you can double tap on any part of the screen to activate that something. So for example,
Actions
so
available.
all right, I know I'm just going to go to my home screen, my first page,
Messages.
just by hitting home. And messages is in the top left corner of my home screen. So if I ever want to go to messages, I could start in the middle of my screen and flick left and left and left and left and left until I get there.
yeah.
Or I could touch the top of my screen and like near the top, and I'm likely to catch messages. So I know vaguely where things are on my screen, and I don't tend to spend a lot of time flicking. I will, if I want settings is at the bottom of my screen. It's in probably the last or the second last row. So I will just touch the bottom of my screen.
Sorry.
Batteries. Marshall Little Mini, 91% charged.
Okay, that's
Actions
my
available.
batteries, and that's not far from settings. That's like maybe 3 away. So from there I would flick. But if I wanted to get to my books or my clock, then I'm going to try tapping closer to the top of the screen.
Notes.
So I just hit notes, which is right, which I know my clock is just to the left of notes if I flick. And then I've got camera and photos and calendar and then messages. But if I want to now, so I've got voiceover is focused on notes. That was the last thing it said. If I double tap anywhere on the screen, so notes I said was about the second row, but if I double tap on the bottom of the screen, it doesn't matter what was there before or what is there. Notes is going to open because voiceover is focused on that. That was the last thing that VoiceOver told me, that's where it's focused. And I can guarantee you, if I double tap,
Notes, folders, back button.
it opened Notes, and I did not double tap in the same part of the screen where the app was. So it's not volatility, it's just the way they've set it up so that you are aware what is going to open.
Okay, that helps a lot. That clarifies it.
Okay, and yes, they are in rows and columns. And the other thing that you might want to do is put vertical navigation in your rotor, because vertical navigation can be helpful in certain apps. In the calendar, for example, if you don't want to just keep picking up your finger and hunting and trying to go down each Tuesday, you can go to vertical navigation in your rotor, put your finger on Tuesday the 1st, and flick down, and you'll get, and flick over, and you'll get all of them. Like you'll get Tuesday the 8th, Tuesday the,
Never
So-
thought of that.
No, I hadn't either,
I-
but that makes
so
sense.
I have vertical, and you can use that on your home screen. You can use it anywhere. And it's just if you want to navigate vertically rather than horizontally. It can be very convenient. So I'm just gonna go home because I don't need notes open. What else? Well, I can show you the app switcher.
Yeah. The one comment
Unless-
I want to make before you do that, because it's related
Yeah,
to what
sure.
you just said, sorry, is that when I was talking about rows and columns on the screen, I didn't necessarily mean that flicking right and left was a bad thing. It's helpful to know kind of where things are on your screen and how they're laid out when you start moving things, so that you know if you move something before something, that it's going to be, you may be in the column above it, or maybe on the, to the left of it, depending on where that actual app is positioned on your screen. So it was more of orientation thing than saying that flicking right is a bad idea.
Maybe I overinterpreted your comment. That's okay. But it helps anyway to hear what you said. Yeah.
Okay, so just because it's very quick, I'm thinking I will show you the app switcher, and I can't remember if I got there or
iTunes
not.
Store.
No, I did not. Okay, so on a phone that does not have a home button, which is 99% of them now, you start on your route to getting the home button on, and you go up till it clicks 3 times.
Dock, Safari. Actions of Dock, Safari. App switcher. Notes, active. Actions available.
Okay, and in the app switcher, you can close apps, and there are 2 ways of doing them. If you only want to close one of them, you can still do the 3-finger flick up on the app, and it'll close. And I'm not sure if it closes the app switcher after that, because I haven't done it in ages. But what I usually do is I will flick up or down depending on which way my finger wants to go. It really doesn't matter. It's a circular thing. All of these flicking up and down are. So if you can go either way. So I'm going to flick up, and it's going to say close notes.
Close notes.
And I'm going to double tap on that.
Closing notes. Nest. Current action. Close nest. Active.
And then usually it will stay on that current action. So if I want to close all my apps, I can just double tap on each of them, because chances are they're all going to show as closing, closing Nest, closing Kindle, closing this, closing that. But let's see if there's something open, that I don't want open.
Nest. Current action. Close nest. Nest. Current action. Close nest. Nest. Messages. Current action. Close messages. App mail. Current action. Close mail. App Kindle. Current action. Close Kindle. Calendar. Current action. Close calendar. App meta view. Current action. Close meta view. Meta view. Current
And
action.
that's
Close
it.
meta view.
So
Active.
I don't want to
Actions
close
available.
any of those. So I'm just going to go back home with the flick
Messages.
up, the the little blip that you do from the bottom. The app switcher is very nice. If you don't have, if you have a bunch of apps open and you just want to go from app to app, there are two ways of doing it. One is the app switcher, and one is a gesture that you can set up. I think it's a four. I always forget. I think it's 4-finger flick right and flick left that does it on default. I changed mine. Mine is a 3-finger flick right and 3-finger flick left. And so I can be in mail and then I want to go to messages, so I'll just flick and try and find it. It saves having to go into the app switcher to find it. You can just flip through your open apps, and you can change those in the VoiceOver commands. You just have to, and it's called, oh, I think it's called switching apps. I can't remember. I know there are a few commands in there that the names are very similar, and you almost have to try what the gesture is to figure out what it does. And figure out, one of them says scroll up and scroll down or something, and scroll right and scroll left, and you have to try them out and figure out what they do in certain apps before you change them, so that you can figure out, do I really need this? Okay. Questions? Anyone else have questions? Everybody's been so quiet. And we're at the hour. Wow. That was quick.
It was.
And very helpful too.
Good.
The other thing is when you're in the close app that it automatically went to when she closed the first one, if you'd flicked down again, you could activate that app again. You wouldn't have, you're not stuck in closing all. That's in fact how you get to your next, if you want to switch to the other app, not just close it.
Yes, there's always an activate, and there's always a close when you're in the app switcher.
Yeah. I love the app switcher.
I do too, but I also like flicking from app to app. That's my go-to. Is flicking is my 3-finger flick left and flick right. It's like Alt Tab in Windows. I love it.
We did I'm sure there's a YouTube thing up on how to change the gestures. I think I did one.
Yes, I think you did. VoiceOver.
And it was slow enough that it didn't drive everyone crazy. But yeah, I think we did it. And I have, documentation, I think, for it too.
So any more questions? Okay,
Not too related to this, Marcy, but it's kind of related. What is the purpose of the library? And one more question, hang on, one more after that is it. So for instance, it shows me some of the recent apps I've added and all my other apps. Then it sorts them out into different folders. So it created its own social folder and put 11 apps in there. So when I tap on that, I can't read those apps. It won't read them with VoiceOver.
Oh, so that's interesting.
I have no idea why they've done that. What was the point to that?
Well, apparently.
But they're there in the library, though, on a single. It's just weird. I don't know why they added that. Maybe it's for someone, obviously someone who can see all of them in one big page. But for someone who can't see, it's absolutely useless.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating that you say that some of it is inaccessible. I will have to check that because, I could check it right now, because that's fascinating. Now, I just have to figure out, I want to go there now. Watch, I won't be able to.
Page 1 of 6.
This is a place I rarely go unless I'm taken there. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Page 4 of 6. Page 5 of page 6 of 6. Page 7 of 6.
There we
App
go.
library. Search field.
All right, so I'm on the app library. So
Phone at 3 p.m.
one
Status bar item. Social.
possible advantage would be that there is a search box there if you were looking for an app,
Yeah,
but
there
you could
is. Yep.
also use Siri to open an app. So
Yeah.
and if you have a braille display or a keyboard, you can search on the main screen. So don't know why that would be a reason. But you said that the folders are not accessible. So let me
No.
just.
Social folder. 10
All
apps.
right, there's a social folder.
And
All
I'm
right.
tapping on mine at the same time.
Okay.
I have
Uh,
1,
Social.
2, 3,
Heading.
4,
all
8.
right.
I have
FaceTime.
11 apps in there.
Oh,
And
well, I
doesn't
can
matter
read
which.
mine.
Instagram.
Yeah,
Meter. Messages.
I can't read
Mona.
mine.
Phone.
then I'd
Skype.
restart your phone.
Phone. Mona.
Yeah,
See?
because mine
Instagram.
is
Yep.
reading them
Meter.
all.
Messages.
Yeah.
Mona.
That is
Phone.
really weird because
Skype.
I can read it
Computer.
with my eyes,
WhatsApp.
but not with my
X.
fingers.
Close.
All right, tell me
X.
what
Closed.
happens
Nothing. Like
when
I
you
tapped
double
on it.
tap.
It
Okay.
opened the folder.
Okay, and
It
what
shows
happens
me
when you flick?
nothing.
Silence.
X.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. It's reading me at the top that it's 105 and
So
how
you're
many
on the
cellular.
status bar. Come down off the status bar.
Social.
How?
Heading.
Just lift up your finger and come down, and then put
Hang
it
Up
on, I got,
somewhere
somewhere else.
else.
hang on, I got to get back into it now because it kicked me out.
Yes, I've had it sometimes go to the status bar randomly when you
Yeah.
haven't even gone there.
No, I didn't. Okay,
Instagram.
I can flick right, left, up, down, however many times you want, and it's stuck on the status bar.
Then okay. So take your finger to the clock and double tap on it. So find the clock and double tap.
Just where it gives me the time.
Yes, double tap.
I did that.
Okay, now if you move your finger, don't slide it, but
Okay.
move it and touch the middle of the screen.
Well, it said double tap to open app. That's it took me to Zoom.
X.
Okay, so Zoom is part of your social folder, most
X.
likely.
Close. WhatsApp. Tapiri. Skype. Phone. Mona. Messages.
Look,
Instagram. FaceTime. Social. Social. Heading.
that is we. Oh, wait a minute. And then then it went back. I've got on the folder now where I can read them all. And
Yep.
it's very interesting that when I couldn't read it, the background was dark, whether it was black or dark blue, doesn't matter, but it was dark. Now that I can read it, the background is the nice blue that I had selected for my background.
So maybe it just didn't update the background on your app library.
I don't know, but I can't explain this to you, but thank you.
Music.
That was weird.
Business folder. 10 apps.
Not a
Music.
problem. Now I just need to get the heck out of this.
Out of there.
Utones.
Yeah.
Business. Business folder. 10 apps. Doc. Mail. No unread emails. Safari.
Phew.
Page 6 of 6. Adjustable page 5
There
of
we
6.
go. I'm out of there. Yay.
Sometimes
So,
I get stuck in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think
it's
that
weird.
the app library was created for former Android users because I think that's how Android works. But I could be wrong. But someone said that to me that Android has always had that, and so iOS had to build it.
It's kind of like an extra step that we don't really need, but that's
No,
okay.
because
You know.
the only advantage of it I could see is if you had an app that you tried and you decided you didn't like it, you could delete it off your home screen, send it to the app library, and then maybe one day you decide that you wanted to try it again. And instead of having to re-download it
It
you
actually
could,
says that. Do you want to re-download? I've done that.
yeah,
So it told
instead
me that
of,
I'd been there before.
yes,
Yeah.
and the App Store keeps track of what
Yeah.
apps you've had on your phone at any time in life,
Yeah.
back to probably the first iPhone you ever had.
There's no secrets.
Yeah, there's no secrets; they're all saved.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do a maybe on the App Store and the iTunes Store one day, but not,
Ooh,
yeah.
not today.
Maybe we can do
Not
no.
today.
No.
No.
So I'm just going to ask one more time. Is there any question on the stuff we did today?
There is a related question, and I know we
Okay.
are out of time.
No, we haven't really. But
Okay.
if it's related, then I'll leave the recording on.
So, going back to my question of understanding the structure of my screen and using it, I have 3 voices that I can go to.
Okay.
Samantha, Emily, and some other one. I forget the Greek one, the name. Do the fact that all 3 voices are available, does that change the structure of the icons on the screen?
No, not
No.
at all.
It
Not at
doesn't.
all. No.
Okay.
No, that's a strictly that's system level stuff, and if you have it in your voices in your rotor, you can change them on the fly. You don't have to, go looking for them. You can put voices in your rotor as an activity, and you can just go
Yeah,
change them. But it has
I
nothing
was
to do with the screen.
yeah, I was wondering because I thought maybe my volatility experience has to do with the fact that I have all these
Nope.
voices.
No,
Okay,
not at
No.
all. Not at all. Okay, I am stopping the recording.
Okay.